Dearest colleagues, welcome to the Visionstryt Masterclass Series. I'm Obi Malope, your host, all the way from South Africa, the motherland. There's no way we could have a masterclass series without having the most fantastic brand manager, brand guru, brand specialist, other than Garry, all the way
I
from the
don't
United
deserve all
Kingdom.
those accolades. And they say it takes one to know one.
No, I'm just speaking the truth, man. You and I have been connected over the last few years on social media, and we have not had the privilege of seeing each other in person. But in 2020, we got to do some amazing work in ensuring that the eye care industry can navigate their way throughout the pandemic. And I think the work that we did in 2020 in helping optometric practices to be able to not only thrive, but excel during a very difficult time in the eye care industry. And that was through the panel discussions that we had through SideCare Premium. So to be able to connect with you 2 years later through this platform on the Visionstryt Masterclass Series, it is an absolute honor, my friend.
Sometimes it's so obvious. Yesterday I was in practice, and it relates to contact lenses. You're at a contact lens conference. The lady came in to collect her son's glasses, and I said, look, he's 12. He can wear contact lenses. She was, wow. Can a 12-year-old wear contact lenses? I said, yeah. And then she said, do they still do have they figured out how to do contact lenses for long-sighted people yet?
Wow.
We got you.
Wow.
We got you.
Wow.
Now, sometimes us optometrist DOs, we don't realize what patients don't know. So she eagerly booked an appointment. She can't wait. I couldn't rub the smile off her face. Wow, they do long-sighted contact lenses. I said they do it in daily too. She said, really? I said, yeah, this is it. So you see, unless you ask the question, unless you probe, sometimes it's not just gonna land in your lap. And that's about marketing too. So we've got so many things to discuss. You're exhibiting. How long have we got?
Look, we go according to how much time we have to cover, as much as we possibly can. And for me, what you're saying is fits into the topic that we have at hand. How to build a brand for yourself as an eye care practitioner, as well as for your practice. And there are many components that are attached to that, because you could be a pediatric optometrist, you could be a low vision practitioner, you could be a general practitioner. There's a lot of branding that you need to be doing, that you need to be aware of, in terms of how do you position yourself, how do you ensure that your target audience that you're trying to attract can be able to connect with you in the manner in which you are desiring for them to be able to do that. And I think you are the best person to be able to give us insight in terms of that.
Do you give me permission to be controversial?
Absolutely. You know why? This is a masterclass series, and we want to talk about the things that you will not find anywhere else being spoken about. So you've got free reign. Just no swear words.
No, of course. I would watch my mom to watch. Thought leadership is about exploring different things, and we have to take a look at optometry and optics and take a good look at ourselves. Clinicians sometimes are ashamed to say it, and that's a problem. Like, for me, that fear of rejection, or I don't know quite what it is, but from my very first day in optics, I saw opportunity. Do you mind if I tell you about my very first day?
Please go in, man. Please do it.
And I remember, I'm 50 now, and I was
you what?
Around, I'm 50 years old. I'm 50 years
old. No
way.
No ways, man. No ways.
You're too kind. So I'm 50 years old. I'm around 20s. This is about 30 years ago. My very first day in optics. And the senior optometrist shows me around. And he's showing me, this is the sight test room. This is where the dispensers go. This is where the frames are. This is the laboratory. And he boasts. He says to me, Garry, if I've got the lens in stock, I can make a single vision lens in under 5 minutes. Cut it. I said, okay. I was impressed. I thought, wow. Anyway, guy comes in. He was an architect. He had his glasses in 2 pieces. The lens was damaged. The glasses were broken. He said, I've got a real big problem. And I served him. He was the first customer I've ever served. He said, I've got a real big problem. I need my glasses for today. Can you help me? I said, no problem. We can make glasses in 10 minutes. And he was so happy. He picked the frame. He We made it for him 10 minutes. Anyway, my boss, he was very old-fashioned. Mr. Agani, he's changed now. He was vexed. He was very, very angry with me. He said, Gary, you cannot tell and remember, this is a long time ago. He said, you cannot tell customers, patients, they'll be ready in 10 minutes because it will take away the mystique. Tell them 2 weeks. Sorry, I'm so sorry. But you know, he was presbyopic, this guy. So he said, let me buy this pair and let me get myself a nice pair because varifocals take longer. So he ended up spending loads of money. And Mr. Agani, you know what he said to me? He said, maybe you're onto something.
Wow.
Now, if that was good. I'd change things.
Absolutely.
Like, you started thinking about customer service. Let's go quicker. Let's deliver. Anyway, gets to the afternoon. Old lady walks in. She was out of breath. I still remember how she smells, man. She smelled like an old lady, but that's all good. I remember her. And she's walking in and she's struggling. And I offer her a seat. Like, it's my first day. I want to make a good impression. I'm a young guy. I said, would you like a cup of tea? She said, she looked at me like I was crazy. She's like, you make tea here? I said, yeah, I'll make her a cup of tea. Made her a cup of tea, gave her the tea. Mr. Agani, if you say he was 5 out of 10 angry about me saying it was ready in 20 minutes, he was 10 out of 10. He was fuming. Smoke was coming out of here. He said, what do you think you're doing? He said, if you offer her tea now, she's gonna want it next time. You can't do that. Anyway, I thought, I'm getting sacked. It's my first day. I'm getting sacked. Anyway, her record card was this thick. Wow. She had never gets a new frame. This time round, she comes out of the testing room. She's picking a new frame. Mr. Agani, he says, what? Can I ask you? You never get a new frame. Why is it you got a new frame? He said, because of that young man there, he made me a tea.
Come on.
First day in optics, man.
Come on.
First day on my life.
You know, what you're saying makes me think of, we sometimes overcomplicate the process of what our patients or our customers experience in our eye care practices. A question that people might have is, Obi or Gary, I need to get onto social media. I need a website. I need to update my marketing stuff. Over the years, with the examples that you've just given, because what you are alluding to was literally what we always need to be doing from the onset. You actually just spoke about 2 basic scenarios, which a lot of practices don't implement or don't focus on to this day. So when patients or practices come to you and say, we need to update our branding and our marketing and so forth, how do you bridge the gap between the basics that they need to be adhering to every single day versus the latest trends that are at play when it comes to marketing and branding? How do you find the balance? What are the critical things that we can't compromise on when it comes to branding and marketing that are sort of like similar to the examples that you've given versus the new stuff that's going on that we need to be aware of, whether it be ourselves as practitioners or for our practices?
So that's such a big question, Obi, and a great question. So if we improve, say you get 10 people walk through the door and we suddenly create 50 people a day. If the conversion is only 5%, you're gonna convert 2 people, right? And then you might convert 4 people. The traffic coming through the door is one thing, but actually the right traffic and the best conversion. So I'm going to be controversial number 3. I'm going to start marking them down 1, 2, 3. So the third bit of controversy here is there's a saying in optics. The good thing about optics is your staff stay a long time. Sometimes years. Sometimes they'll start and they'll retire in that same chair. But the worst thing about optics is your staff stay a long time. People in optics do not like change. And when you're talking about on a collection, ask a patient if they would give us feedback for our Google review. It's like the most difficult thing in the world, where retail understands this, and retail is our cousin. Healthcare is our cousin. We are in the middle, and we just don't move. Dentistry moves so much quicker than optometry. You just see it. They get it. They get marketing. We charge 50 £100 for the toothbrush, and we charge nothing for the for the dental checkup. They've got it right.
It is so crazy. What can we do to change that, though? Do you feel that as an industry, we have sort of like incorrectly positioned our brands, whether it be as practitioners or practices? Where do you feel like we have missed the mark in terms of how we have positioned ourselves then? Because one practice will be positioned as a very high clinically orientated optometric practice, doing a lot of optometric work that the average practice doesn't do. And then another practice will come, or another practitioner will come, and they're nowhere as close as what the other one is doing. But the perception in the marketplace is that why should I pay X amount there for the same thing that I can pay X amount to that practice there? So is it a brand positioning aspect? Is it a marketing position? Oh, because sometimes I feel like we are hawkers in the industry. We undervalue ourselves as professionals, and the consumer then doesn't see ourselves or see us as eye care service providers. They see us as retailers more than they see us as eye care providers. So where do you think we got it wrong, and what can we do then to fix it?
Well, I think this is a global question. I think if you're watching this in South Africa or England or New Zealand or America, it's the same. And I think as an industry, we really should wake up and smell the roses. We look after people's vision. We keep people safe. There's 7-8 reasons why having an eye examination will save your life. So, Obi, I'd love your opinion on this, but I think in optometry, in college, from grassroots, we teach marketing, because marketing equals trust. When you trust me, I buy. No trust, no transaction. So for me, if we try that grassroots, whatever level of optometry you want to be, let's understand marketing. And what does an optometrist do? It should be essential to the community. Let it be clinical, let it be fashion-led, let it be whatever, but it's important. What's your opinion?
My opinion, exactly. When I look at the academic institutions the world over, when it comes to practice management, business management, marketing solutions, anything that is outside of the normal clinical or academic work that we are being taught, it's sort of like the last 6 months before you graduate. Oh, here's a course on marketing, here's a course on branding, and it's being taught by people who are not in practice, who are not in the marketplace. So they're not bringing in you, they're not bringing in me, they're not bringing in other people who have their pulse on what's happening academically, clinically, or from a business point of view. So marketing is being taught by a person who is not outside of the academic institution, who's already in the marketplace, understanding the different trends, understanding what's happening in different industries, and being able to bring that in eye care to be able to teach the students. So fourth year, it's already too late. I believe that you need to be doing it at simultaneously with the other programs that they have going on. Because
let me ask you, how many in your experience, minus 10, minus 8, minus 9, minus 10? Sim retina, all right? How many receptionists and low-skilled people in optics, when you see that, they say, don't forget, you mustn't do a bungee jump. Don't forget, if you see white flashing lights, that's a thing. I mean senior citizens and mature people, and they're a minus 9, minus 10, minus 20. I said, just be careful, right? Don't do bumper cars. Don't keep your head straight. White flashing lights. And they, you know what they say to me? I've never been told that before.
Wow. And I think
the last guy was meant to tell them, and the last guy was, or the last person. This is stuff that can scare, but also says, look, we're healthcare professionals. We're not just selling a rush. We care.
Let me ask you a question. An optometrist or a practice group that's watching now, and they're saying to themselves, okay, my marketing is not where it's supposed to be. I don't actually have a brand. I can't say this is my brand. as an optometrist or an ophthalmologist, and I need to get started with building a brand. In your experience, where do people start? And I'll ask it first from the side of the optometrist or ophthalmologist. What is the starting process of saying, I want to be intentional about starting or building an eye care brand for myself as a practitioner? I'm doing general optometry, or I'm doing pediatric optometry, or I'm specializing in contact lenses, but I can't say this is where I can pinpoint my brand to be. What advice do you then give to that person to get started with that?
Well, Einstein said, if you understand the subject, you can teach it simply. So let's go a very complicated subject. Let's do it simply. If you're a practice owner, you're watching this, I want you, and you don't really know about branding, I want you to think of 3 of your favorite brands. And we're going to do this with Obi. We're going to do an exercise. What are your 3 favorite brands? Non-optic. 3 favorite brands.
My brands will be, should I say it on this platform? Oh yeah, this is a masterclass, so I have to say it on this platform. Red Bull, even though I don't support them on F1, but because I love the Red Bull drink, I would say Red Bull. Liverpool is my brand. That's like a brand that I will die and fight for that brand. And last I can think, sure, I can't think of a third one.
Apple.
Shocking.
The tech one.
No. Let me pick one. Coca-Cola.
Very good. Okay, so when you tell people stuff, it doesn't resonate. When you're storytelling, it resonates. So storytelling really helps. Right. So I'll start with the story. It's 2004. I'm about to open my own practice. Even though I've been entrepreneurial my whole life, I think it's a real thing now.
Yeah.
Let's find out why businesses go bankrupt, specifically optometry practices. And my friend around me said, Gary, you're being very negative. Why are you reading about why things are going to go wrong? And to me, it was logical, because we understand what's going to go wrong. It's like understanding history. If you understand history, hopefully it will never happen, repeat itself. So let me pick books. And there was a consistency about why businesses go bankrupt, not just optometry. But the first one was called Director's Burnout. I hadn't heard of that. Director getting fed up. Next one was Cash Flow. That one I'd heard of. Next one was called Marketing. And I genuinely, 25 years ago, I knew nothing about marketing. So I took some books out. And there was a little yellow book, and it said, if you don't understand about marketing, pick 3 brands, copy them, do everything like them, and others will start copying you. So my 3 brands were Singapore Airlines at the time, because I just got back from Australia. The customer service was sublime. I picked Virgin, another airline, because I loved his innovation and how working is. At the time, he had a radio station, he had all kinds of things, and I love that.
I almost picked that as one of my favorite brands as well. Yeah, because I almost picked that as well.
He's got character. He's quite quirky. And then there's a supermarket in England called Tesco's, and even the poorest person in the world can walk in there, get non-branded or branded. So I said everything to do with good-looking optics is going to be one of those 3. If it doesn't look, feel, or taste it, I'm going to build my brand around that. So your brand, Red Bull, that's determination and thinking out of the box and exciting. That isn't slow. That's in the fast lane. Liverpool, passion, singing, sophistication, world class, amazing. That's how I see them anyway. The last one you explain, Coca-Cola. Why does that resonate with you?
I think there's no sense of complacency. I chose them because there's no sense of complacency, that despite like when I was growing up, right? This is I don't know what happens in the UK, but in South Africa, they would say, please go and buy Coca-Cola. and then we would say, which one? So they would say, go buy Coke or Coca-Cola. And then our response to our parents will always be, which one? So the brand is it's at the level at which everything that you have to drink as a fizzy drink is associated with Coca-Cola. So it's like we've been brainwashed to the level at which if you want to have a cold drink, it's Coca-Cola. And then you have to then go and determine which one do you want. So it's as if you're buying Fanta, but it's like Coca-Cola and you're buying the Fanta version of it. So for me, growing up, I associated with the brand in the context of as much as they are so dominant in the space of what they do, they still put all the effort than anyone else in the marketing. So it's as if everyone is already aware of them, but they're not complacent when it comes to reinventing themselves from a branding point of view. And that's why I chose Coca-Cola. I would have chose Virgin for a different reason than you. Not all the other Virgin Group related stuff, but more on the gym. So in South Africa, Virgin Active is one of the most dominant gyms around. And the gym, in terms of the look and feel of the gym, the equipment, the dress code, every 2 to 3 years, if not, something new is always happening. Something fresh is always being introduced within the gyms. Something new is always being done within the gyms. So for me, I would have chosen Virgin for that reason. That
Richard Branson says, if your business looks the same in 12 months, you're going to go out of business. And sometimes our practices never change. I love that. And you got to look at, and everything in the practice had to, for me, if it was a business card, if it was a website, it had to be Virgin, it had to be Singapore, or it had to be, it had to have that element. And then you start to create your own vibe. But there you go. That is branding very, very simplified. Pick someone who does it. And with the colours, I'll give you a little tip for all the watchers. The colours, pick your favourite basketball team, football team. They would have spent millions of pounds on the different colours that go on the strip. Liverpool was red and what? Red and white.
Yeah. So they're red, but like you're saying, every season, the third kit is always a completely different color than the main red or white that they had. Like this season, they've got the purple. Last season, they had the yellow. The previous season, they had the green. And we, as the consumers and the supporters of the club, we end up gravitating towards those other colors, even though we know red is in our blood. But we end up gravitating towards those other colors simply because of that change, that innovation, that's something that is different that we like, and we gravitate towards that.
You've got so much loyalty there, and that we could learn from that. So sorry.
Yeah, you're still saying?
Through reading books, and I don't know if you know this, I started to learn so much and implement things. Started to implement, and they started to work. So I started to read one business book a month, 20 plus years ago. Last year and this year, I've been on a big honor, big business book awards judge in the UK.
Wow.
Like, that's such a compliment. And wow. I just go through books like crazy. And it has a second thing. I don't know if you know this, but I've got multiple sclerosis.
Yes, you told me before. Yes.
And one of my things that keeps me healthy, and one of the things that unites all people with MS is our brain shrinks. Now, the neurologist keeps saying to me, he's like, your it's got bigger. How have you done that? Like, they measure my brain, and they're like, your brain's got bigger. It's not got smaller. It's because I read like crazy. I'm always learning. And to make this announcement, they haven't found a cure for MS yet, OB.
Yeah.
I found out yesterday I'm part of the world's first clinical trial on a cure.
Wow. Wow. That's fantastic news, man. Wow. That is.
And
so,
you know how
they're
measuring it, OB? They're measuring it on on the thickness of my retina. So
What?
yeah, man, the thing is totally eye related, and I'm so excited to be part of Cambridge University's trial. It's going to be cool, and
Wow.
we'll talk about that. Maybe not, but yes,
But
that's the reason I read some.
It's going to go well, man. I know it's going to go very well. Just to recap what you said earlier on, I like how you answered the question. I mean, the question that we had, because when we asked in terms of what does the optometrist do, I think you gave such a brilliant response in the sense that pick 3 brands that you love the most and replicate. That is such a it applies for both the practice and the individual.
And mastery isn't going to happen by luck. Pick up a book. I can put that. Maybe we'll put in the show notes some books to read. One of my favorites is by it's called The No BS of Selling to the Affluent. I love Time Management by Brian Tracy. Frog. There's a book called Polarization: How to Polarize People by creating a tribe. Like, even if you only read one book a year, one classic, and we'll put down some classics down in the show notes, you're just heading that little bit towards mastery of marketing, which is really important in this day and age.
Wow. The next question then becomes, yes, I agree with you. I have to get started with this. But then the cost-wise, what's the budget? Because a lot of people...
This is the best thing of all. This is the best thing. Tony Robbins, are you familiar with this gentleman?
Yes.
Look at this. I'm very proud. He's so cool. There he is.
Wow, that's amazing, man. That's beautiful.
So Tony Robbins, he says, when you lack resource, become resourceful. It doesn't take much. Now, I can tell you a real life case study. I bought a practice no more than 3 weeks ago.
Wow.
And they just done their best ever day ever. And I wasn't even there. In the last 25 years, they've done their best day ever. £5,500 in one day, and I wasn't even there. No change of frames, no change of anything. It hasn't cost any money, and I'd love to step that through. So it's a great question you ask. Do we need money to do marketing? No, we do not. There's a great book, and it'll be on the reading list. It's called Guerrilla Marketing. How to budget, how to do it just for free.
Wow.
And we'll go through that if you like.
Yeah, let's go through it right now. For me, I feel like, you know what, this is a masterclass. Help us understand that process. Help us go through that process so that when people leave this conversation, they'll get to a point where they say, okay, I need to get into that direction. So I need to get started. And
this is a real life example of what happened in real life. So when I started practice, I don't know if you're aware of this, maybe when I first qualified, I went with my girlfriend all over the world. We went all over the world. Traveling, we checked out that's East Coast to West Coast of America, Asia, Australia, New Zealand. I went everywhere to see how the very best do it. And merchandising was a really big thing. I noticed that either they care about merchandising or not. And Gap did a study. They said that men prefer to shop shoulder level and above, and women prefer to shop shoulder level and between, and everyone else is like eye level. So I used that and I put it in my practice, and every frame rack had sense to it, had something. Wow. So when I walked into this new optician, I said, well, "What the ones over there? What are they?" They said, "Nothing." "What are the ones over there?" "Well, they're just nice frames." All right, cool. I'm like, oh, cool. All right. So the first thing I did is I tried to put some order to it. So the original practice that I first bought had clocks above every frame rack. The rack was 32, and it had London's time. And wow. I branded London as corporate, serious business wear. Next door to that was an hour ahead, and I called that Paris. I said, Paris is the home of fashion. You look there, you're going to find some fashionable pool frames. Next to that was Milan. These were cutting edge, not hit the market yet. This is like innovation, market leader. You're going to be the only person in your village, in your town to wear stuff like that.
I love that.
Yeah, so there was Paris, Milan, New York. There was I think we did Sweden, like we did minimalistic. So this practice, I started to put some thought into how they were displayed, female, male, unisex, and then it became easier for people walking in to understand the concept. So I learned this from PC World. Check this out.
Wow.
You know PC World?
Yeah.
But I went in there and I wanted to buy a mouse. And at the time, the mouse had a little ball in it. You're too young to remember that, Obi.
Yes, Gary, I'm not a 50-year-old, obviously.
It had the little ball in it. I went into the PC World and I said, look, this isn't working. Can I have a new one? He just unclicked it, blew it, said it's fixed. Here you go. I told about 200 people about that. I said, this is amazing. Like, they're brand loyalty. They didn't rip me off. They told me this thing. And I understand. And then at the time I was trying to buy a sofa for my house. And when we went in, the good salespeople educated me on the material, on the colors. And I thought optics can be like this. So I banned the word, can I help you? When someone comes into my practice, it was a fireable offense. If you ask, can I help you? You were fired.
Love that.
Serious, man, because I could guarantee what the answer would be.
Yeah.
No thanks, I'm just looking.
Okay, yes.
Let me show you something. Let me show you. See all the ones there? That one's called Milan, and they're for people that really want to stand out. You see that one there? That one's from London. And we become from salespeople to advisors, to experts. So you know how the frame should fit? No. Top of the frame shouldn't cover your eyebrows. The bottom of the frame should be no near your cheeks. They actually come in sizes. No way. Wow. We're in a conversation here. We're just like, we're chatting. We're best friends.
You know what's interesting about this conversation is that we're talking about branding and marketing, and yet the solutions and the tools that you're putting in optometrists' hands right now are things that they can start implementing today. Absolutely. Literally. that's what I'm loving about this thing, is that you're not providing us with solutions that are so over the top, so crazy. You're literally providing us with tangible solutions that we can literally go into our practices and implement. Once we got the basics right and we start then saying, wait a minute, let me invest resources, let me invest more in terms of elevating it to the next level, that just is like an add-on into taking us to a further dimension than what we could have imagined.
It's like a leaky bucket. So you put water in and it's got some leaks and they fall out. It's better to repair the bucket first, then start putting more water in and you'll retain it. Like for me, when I take over a practice, one of the very first things we do is look after the Google business profile. It's like money, local search. So if today my neighbor moved into the area and they don't know anyone, they want to get the best service, find out about my practice, they're going to Google it. And if you are the top of Google, you've got a cash register. You are making serious money. But it's not. It really is the most simple thing in the world. And we can outmaneuver the big chain. So Google business profile, do yourselves a favor. If you're going to do anything new, you should start there. Then look at your page. If you haven't got a website, it's a good idea to have a website. And if you have got a website, look at its page speed. Like, just look at the basics. Is it loading up quickly? You know, if it takes 2 hours, it's a good idea.
Defocus Media Podcast Network just made a comment there to say great interview. So yeah, shout out to them. Gary, you've got a diversity or a diverse range of entrepreneurial projects that you do. One of them is loving social media. Do you mind giving us insight in terms of what loving social media is all about?
Let me share with you the story. I love storytelling. So
I love that.
here I am, 2004, know nothing about marketing apart from what I read. And Facebook was new. It was just starting to figure it out. And MySpace, I'm a chess player. I don't know if you know this. I mean, I play chess. And I used MySpace to play chess with people in New York. And it was pretty cool. So I knew the tech. And then I started using Facebook in my practice to market myself. And it was going very well. And we were getting up to 100 new patients a week because no one was marketing on Facebook. That was pretty cool. And then my friend was a plumber. He said, "Look, Garry, you're really good at this marketing. Will you do my social media for me?" I said, "Yeah, of course I will, for free." Then another friend that was a roofer, he asked me. I said, "Yeah." And people started asking me to do it, and I got overwhelmed. I said, "I'm going to start charging you. Louis, how much will you pay?" He said, "I'll pay £100." Then I went to the next guy. "David, how much will you pay?" David said, £50. I collected all that money together, and I thought I could actually employ a young person to do the social media stuff. So upstairs in my practice was the social media page. Downstairs was the practice. I'd sell a pair of glasses, take some measurements, go upstairs, do a live. And I'm very, very proud to say that Meta have done a case study on us, and maybe we'll put it in the show notes. We were the first optician in the world to be on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter. It's amazing. So to be one of the very first in the world is amazing.
Wow.
And that's how this thing started. And then other industries started asking me, other opticians, and I'm naturally curious. So I want to know what the next cool new thing is going to be. So yeah, that's how it started.
And when you look at where it started versus what you guys do right now, do you mind breaking out in detail what the value proposition is of it? Because there could be someone sitting in New Zealand, someone sitting in Egypt, someone sitting in South Africa or America or Canada, and be interested in connecting with you. They're on your website right now as we speak, and they want to check it out. So what do you guys
I'll tell you the truth.
as a service?
In 2004, we truly didn't know what to do with it. It was, if someone had said to somebody 100 years ago, this four-wheel thing will be faster than a horse. What? Nobody knew. I just knew it was going to be something. People would say to me, "Wasting your time. It doesn't work. It will pass. It's nothing." This social media. So I didn't realize its power until patients kept coming through. Because one of the most important things when you're a marketeer is to measure. When you're an amateur, you don't measure. So I would, every 100th patient, this is important, every 100th patient I celebrated. I'd say, "You're the 200th patient, and here's a little special gift." Built such loyalty. In my newsletter, we would take a picture of them. We'd celebrate every 100, right? Anyway, I started to get involved, and then a web designer came in, and this web designer, he said, "Would you swap your glasses on a website?" Cool. That's a good idea. Let's do it. And he's a nice guy, but he smirked at me. And the worst thing to do with me is to underestimate me. I said, "How do I get to the top of Google with this website?" You won't understand. So for me, that was like a red rag to a bull. I'll show you. I'll do this. So I took out all the books and reading material and websites, went on courses, and then I understood search engine optimization. So then the agency grew up. It was like, we're not just doing posts for the sake of it. We're actually mixing that with getting to the top of Google. So I've been a practitioner of that art for 20 years. It's crazy. And it's so easy. It's a piece of cake. I should figure out. So that's what
Wow.
loving social media does. It looks at holistic approach, holistic. It looks at what's going on the shop floor, what's going on outside. Let's have a big picture thing. And I'm not an expert at everything. Sometimes you might have to go to Obi, right? So that's he's good at what he does. And I'll be really honest and say, hey, I can't do that bit. Look at holistic audit. We fix what we can and just try and change the culture from the inside out.
I will tell you one thing for me that stands out the most about what the work that you do. I've never seen it anywhere else in the world, like up until I came across it with loving social media, is that one of the services that you render or that you provide is reputation management. And I was like, wow, that is so important, because it plays a critical role. Because what's marketing? We want to build trust. You mentioned this earlier on. We want to build trust with our audience. We want to build trust with our patients and the consumer. But it's one thing to build trust. It's another, or to attract trust and then build it. But it's a whole other dimension or ball game to be able to manage the reputation that you have established as a result of that. Please unpack what reputation management is.
Sure. So I snuck into, I don't know, the hardest MBA to get into is Harvard, arguably. And I snuck into an online lecture, and I didn't know that they studied trust for a year. I didn't know this, but they do.
Wow.
And there's a long equation that they use, but the basic equation was P is equal to C times F. Right? They simplified it. So, sorry, R. I just gave. Do you know what I just gave you? The prism equation.
Yes.
Prismatic effect equals centration times power. Come on, Garry, man. I'm getting my equations mixed up. Oh man. All right, V equals C. All right, okay, I've got it. This isn't an
Okay.
So visibility is the first thing for the patient to trust you. They've got to know you exist. So if you do a Google review and you're nowhere, you failed already. Now, the next thing, they do a Google review, they do see you, but you've only got one review. The guy that's 10 doors down the road has got 20, 100 reviews. Who are you going to go to? The credible or the one that's got one review with 6 bad ones? Now,
Yeah.
I've never seen a real ostrich, but ostriches, when they get scared, they put their nose in the sand, right? That's what we do. I don't want to know, but that's what we do. We go out there, we make sure your reputation's good. And then a tip, this is a good tip. Every restaurant I go into, I review on Google. Everywhere I go and I see good service, I'm called a local guide. I'm a level 7 local guide. And when I review something, it's worth so much more than someone that doesn't review. Also, when I ask Google to remove a bad review, they take me serious. They're like, level 7 has just asked it to be removed. It gets removed. So as optometrists, as practice owners, try and review great service. Google will notify you when you get up, and then when you're a local guide, you're serious. So I hope that's answered that. So it's obvious. Online reputation, offline reputation, it needs to be cleaned up. Like, Obi, this is fresh news. I've had a big week. There's something called Entrepreneurial Circle. And yesterday I was told that I'm in the final for Inspiring Entrepreneur of the Year, man.
Come on. Wow, man. Wow, that is so amazing. When it comes to branding and marketing, what should optometrists not do?
All right. So again, there's a story just to teach you. So that when you're told stuff, you're sold to. When it's a story, it's absorbed. So a school, a local, something you might not know about me is that we've taken on over 1,000 young take 50 a year.
Sure.
And this is really good for my local branding, right? So they come and they
Yeah.
do work. I take this kid on, and he goes back to school, and the school said to me, "What have you done to this child? We gave him to you as a child. He's come back a man. What have you done to him?" I don't know. So we did something. And the school said to me, "We will pay you to come and talk to all the other children about self-esteem. You've made him this much taller." I said, "Look, go and speak to a psychiatrist. I don't know about self-esteem. And I don't want your money. I can't do this." And they rang back and they said, "Please, we really want you to do this." And I said, "No way." So they kept asking me, and I thought, well, why not? And then I started to study self-esteem. And self-esteem really, Obi, if I was to ask your mum to describe me, would you describe the same individual as what your patients know?
Yeah.
So when your self-esteem is aligned, so teenagers, their self-esteem is all over the place. Their mum knows a different person from their dad and their uncle and their best friend. For me, I'm pretty proud that my self-esteem is aligned. So the thing that you must not do is be a different person in practice to what you are at home. Authenticity is the economy that we are in right now. We've got presidents going to prison. We've got dictators all over the world. We need people we can believe in. And if you even smell a little bit unauthentic, it's not happening. So that would be my number one tip. Authenticity, align your self-esteem. Don't be one person at work and another person at home. Not happening.
Wow. Mr. Garry, I would love to have this conversation. We're going to do a part 2 of it. As I'm sitting here, I'm sitting at the venue outside, and I see that the delegates have just come out now. So I'm going to go back inside and go back to my exhibition stand. But man, the pearls of wisdom that you have shared here, it's unbelievable. I believe that we need to schedule episode 2 or part 2 of this, because there's so much because I came to you, or we came to you for branding and marketing, but you took us on a journey of much more. So
is that okay?
thank you so
Because
much.
the basics, before we get to advanced level, we've got to learn the basics, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much for this.
Have a great expo. If you're in South Africa, do people know where you are? Can they come and visit?
Yeah, we are in Irene Country Lodge, out in Centurion in South Africa. The conference was a 3-day conference. We actually have people from the international speakers and friends of our community here in eyecare here. We've got Brian Tompkins visiting us as the speaker. We've got Professor Philip and Sarah Morgan here with us as well.
Is Sarah Morgan doing any comedy?
She did singing last night. She did a lot of comedy. She's literally, they're competing between the two of them, between Brian and Sarah. They're literally competing on who's boss when it comes to entertaining us here in the conference. Dr. Melissa Burnett is here. It's really a fantastic conference, a great turnout, and I should share all the stuff on social media later on today. But Garry, thank you so much. Thank you for being so young. You must stop telling people you are 50 because you're lying. You're not 50 years of age. You're so full of life, man. But thank you very much. Everyone, thank you very much for connecting with us today. If you're not connected with Garry, make sure to do so right now across the different social media platforms, as well as loving social media as well. And thank you for subscribing to the YouTube channel for the Masterclass Series.
And Obi, I'm going to give a world exclusive here. World exclusive. I've figured a way of getting more Google reviews more easily. So check out my website. It's a world first. You're going to get excited.
Absolutely. Everyone, stay blessed and keep making a difference. And let's finish 2023 on a very high note. Stay tuned for another new episode on the Visionstryt Masterclass Series.
Hope you're the best.